Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you're having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
Whatever you do not sleep with your telephone facing you. Whether it's daytime, nighttime, don't sleep with your telephone facing you. Y'all, I'm terrified. Last night, somebody was watching me while I was asleep through my telephone. Now, y'all, I sleep with my phone on the charger, but it's like one of them upright chargers, and it's facing my bed. And I went to bed probably about 12 or 1 o'clock last night. For some reason, I really couldn't sleep. So I went to sleep. I'm a light sleeper. I sleep with the TV on. And I sleep with the rain and thunder sound on. So my room is quiet, all besides the little rain and thunder sound that I have on my phone. But my phone goes black or whatever. So when I was asleep, I heard like a microphone, like movement, like somebody was moving a microphone. And I thought that I was tripping. So I just laid there. And then I heard it again. So I woke up and I looked at my phone. And I saw a man with his face on the screen watching me. So y'all, I panicked. And I just jumped up out the bed like where he can see me. I just jumped up. And then I grabbed my phone and I turned it up toward the ceiling like where he couldn't look at me. And he said, "Come back." He told me to come back. Then he started speaking a different language. So I immediately started trying to turn off my phone. I turned my cell phone off. He was still on the phone. Yeah. And he was speaking in a different language for probably about 30 seconds. And then it finally went away. I'm just telling y'all, I don't know what that was. That was the first time that has ever happened to me in my life. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. My blood pressure was 100/99. And I don't even have high blood pressure. The doctor was like, "That's unusual." I just want to tell y'all, I need y'all to share this message. Please do not sleep with your phone facing you. Sleep with it on the back where they can see the roof, because that was insane. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts on this.
I mean, I know y'all heard what I heard. She said she woke up and this man was staring at her. When she moved out of the frame, he didn't get scared that he got caught. He gonna say, "Come back." Come back? What is you doing on the phone in the first place? He was like casually tuned in watching a live stream of her soul or some shit. When people do weird shit like this, what exactly they looking for? How strange you gotta be to want to watch somebody while they sleep that you don't know? Or that you know for that damn matter. It's almost like he knew she would eventually see him, like he wanted to get caught. The part that always gets me is they always start speaking in another language when they hack into your shit. There was another video not too long ago of some lady talking about they was coming through her radio waves and they had different accents and shit. Again, they always speak in different languages. Did y'all hear the part where she said, "I tried to turn my phone off and he was still on it"? Yes, this is very real. This took me back to a video I did not too long ago, which they actually took down. And a CIA guy was basically explaining how this is possible. Your phone could literally be broken or not operating at all, and they can still tap into your phone, your TV too, your computer too, anything electronic. They are all considered surveillance devices. But again, we're going to take it back to the real question at hand. What do they get out of this? That's what we must ask ourselves, because it's clearly something. It's something that we missing. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, not even no high-end intel group is going to be watching somebody just for fun, shits and giggles. I hope y'all could see how energy is currency. Shout out to my good sis Ty Phoenix, who calls them crown loads instead of downloads. So I got a crown load the other day. These beings are not just spies, they're entities. You can call them the Watchers, Archons, parasitic entity, or parasitic programs, whichever one you want to call them. But the common denominator is energy extraction. And when it really went ding 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 is when she said she went to the doctor and her blood pressure was abnormally high. Most people gonna chalk that up to anxiety, and yeah, maybe. When you understand energy, you know when someone or something is watching you with intent, especially ill intent, it can change your whole nervous system. Change your sleep, your frequency, your patterns, everything. They are feeding, and not off of our bodies, off of our biofield. It's like they trying to tap into our energy when we most vulnerable. And think about it, it's always when you're the most unguarded, unshielded, unprotected. You sleep and your spirit is roaming, your body is open, and your subconscious gate is down. So if a being taps in at the right time, like when you sleeping, they can tap into your memories. These beings can extract your signatures, your dreams, and even your memory. Next time your technology start going haywire, just think about the next time you feel watched in your sleep. You better learn how to shield yourself, because some of these beings not just watching, they harvesting, collecting your energy. Y'all get in them comments and let me know if this ever happened to you. As always, peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
No, that's never happened to me. I didn't know things like this could happen, especially after turning the phone off. Shout out to Yaya's World 777.
2016, a girl started up her computer and opened the Tor browser. Her plan was spine-chilling, yet simple. She was going to contract a hitman from the dark web. She was browsing for hours and finally stumbled across a site named Besa Mafia. They claimed to provide professionally trained hitmen in return for Bitcoin. On Valentine's Day, she sends an anonymous email to them using the username DogDayGod. In it, she discussed her intended victim, Amy All1. She told them, "That bitch has torn my family apart by sleeping with my husband, who then left me, and is stealing clients from my business." She then sent a picture of Amy and completed the transaction by sending $6,000 in Bitcoin. The only problem was that the girl who was looking to contract the hitman, who went by the alias DogDayGod, was actually no girl at all. She was really Stephen All1, the husband of the intended victim. Stephen set up this elaborate backstory and posed as a jealous woman in an effort to conceal his identity, and for a while it worked perfectly. However, his plan would fall apart a few months later, when an FBI agent knocked on their front door. He sat the couple down and stated that someone was trying to kill Amy. Apparently, an anonymous source on the dark web sent all of the Besa Mafia emails to the FBI. However, due to Stephen's elaborate planning, he wasn't considered a suspect at this time, since the FBI believed it was actually a woman who attempted the hiring. So after this botched attempt at murdering his wife, Stephen could have quit and simply divorced her. However, he decided to take an alternate route. Roughly 10 months after Stephen emailed Besa Mafia, he called 911. He told them that his wife had shot herself, and he needed help right away. But when the police arrived, they noticed several red flags. For example, Amy was holding the weapon in her left hand, even though she was right-handed. She also had no powder burns on her hands or head, and there were indications that the scene had been cleaned and repositioned before their arrival. In the end, physical and digital evidence proved that Stephen was behind everything, and he was convicted of first-degree murder.
Told y'all the CIA was working overtime, and all the shit that we've been seeing in this celebrity drama is just a distraction, because has anyone looked at what CERN has going on right now? Remember when I told you about CERN and their Large Hadron Particle Collider, and how they had this immense plan to recreate what would happen at the Big Bang Theory? And remember how I told you they only turn on this Hadron Collider maybe 3 times a year at specific points, and the previous times they actually turned it on, there were some very suspicious things surrounding it? Yeah, so it turns out instead of them actually being able to recreate the Big Bang Theory, they turned this shit on and created something else. Fucking Alchemy. They have used this Hadron Collider that was supposed to be for particle acceleration. They have actually turned lead into fucking gold. If you know anything about the Anunnaki, ancient Mesopotamia, and how much I talk about how great alchemists' whole ideology was surrounded by finding the ultimate elixir, which was being able to turn things into gold, and now they've done it. I don't know how crazy it is to discover alchemy and be able to turn lead into gold. You have a deep ass rabbit hole to go down. Every great philosopher you know was obsessed with alchemy. They literally died on the hill of alchemy. People like Pythagoras, only thing you know him for is the Pythagorean theorem, but a lot of Greek philosophers were obsessed with this. They were told it's the elixir of youth or the secret to living forever. This Large Hadron Collider, which is not at CERN, but that's the biggest one that y'all know about. Apparently there are multiple, and they have been around for years. This specific one was able to accelerate so many particles at once that it turned lead into fucking gold. For the first time ever, 89,000 gold atoms per second. They did this by taking 3 tiny particles called protons out of a lead of atom and then turned them into gold atoms. The thing about this is that is alchemy. That is what philosophers studied for years and were unable to do. And basically, alchemy believes that you have the power to transmutate base metals into gold, and this will grant immortality through the elixir of life. They believe the stone could be achieved through a complex process of purification and transformation, and this was often symbolized by color changing and the unity of opposing elements. Elements like protons that we just heard they smashed together. They also believe that iron, lead, tin, zinc, nickel, and copper could be turned into gold and silver, which we just watched them fucking do. In doing this, they would be able to create an elixir that would prolong life and heal illnesses. Even in ancient Mesopotamia, all of these books that they had talked about something that had transmutation of humans, but they were also obsessed with gold. Discussed a lot of alchemy, even if you look at things out of Mesopotamia where we go into Egypt, where they also were obsessed with gold. Anunnaki and how people were saying they're returning, and now we're talking about how a hadron collider was able to collide particles, make lead into gold, which people have been studying for thousands of years, and they have been called crazy, and they just did it, is insane. I'm going to go over a lot of the philosophers, what the philosopher's stone is, alchemy, and I'm going to read to you more about how they were able to accomplish this in a part 2, because this is a long video already, because I am actually fucking stunned.
Maybe the Anunnaki is coming back for the gold. Shout out to Aisha Bay.
Have y'all seen this yet? Apparently, this guy came across the real Kanye West sitting down on a bench in downtown Los Angeles looking completely out of it. I mean, y'all, there's no denying it. This dude absolutely looks like Kanye West. He looks like he's just in a sunken place, just like the movie Get Out told him. Do y'all remember what B.O.B. said?
Certain black leaders get replaced, and all of a sudden they switch up and they doing shit that they preached against. They spent their whole legacy preaching against some shit, and then all of a sudden they cool with it. That's why you don't never see these niggas. There's certain niggas you just never see in public. You don't never see these niggas in public. And they either kill them or replace them, or they fake their death. They go and hide it. I'm telling y'all, like, I know, like, I study this shit. I know this shit. I'm not even saying it on cocky shit, but it's just the truth. Like, that's what the fuck is going on. From politics to hip hop music to rock music. Call me crazy. I got lots of friends in the industry who I can't talk to no more. Can't even get them on the phone. Talking about where I've been at. Nigga, I've been here. So it's all connected. But they're not gonna talk about this shit. They gonna run a Bob Flat Earth headline probably.
You see, this is not far-fetched at all, y'all. Just like they be telling us in these movies. Hold on, does he have Yeezys on? Hold on. But yeah, there's a reason why they put this in his movies, because they're telling us truth in plain sight. And then the fact it took this long to find the real Kanye, you know, just like how this industry Kanye goes missing and then he appears, you know what I'm saying? It goes to show you the real Kanye is really a magician. But yeah, y'all, let me know what you guys think about this video. Like, follow, and share for more videos like this. The shift is here. Let's get it. Peace in.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's just a publicity stunt. Yeah, it kind of looks like a statue, if you ask me. Shout out to Conscious Juice.
Let me tell y'all a true story. Be simple and watch this video to the end. I don't know, but this ghost looks real. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Let's...
Excuse me. Are you back there again?
Who turned that water on? Who did that?
It's become a favorite spot.
It's not a game.
Yeah, and there he is.
Shh.
Okay, that's enough water, please.
Turn it off, man. That's not real. Come on.
Everyone can see you in the reflection, bud.
Look.
Everyone can see you in the reflection.
It's not a game.
And it's gone.
Where is he? Where is he?
Okay, I know he's not in here, but I just want anyone who's watching us.
He can't fit in there.
This is too small. I just
Get out.
It's not.
Who turned that water on? It turned on twice. Did you see that shadow? He walked in there. No one was in there. Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what that guy's talking about, but that was somebody, and you know where they went? They went out the window. Shh. Shut up! I don't know, guys. But that kind of looked kind of real to me. But let's not forget, it's a video. Anything could be green screen and special effects. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game right here, guys, and you know what time is it. Shh. Shut up! Turn your water off. Let me know if somebody's gonna turn it back on. Especially if it wasn't you. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because you know why? That was motion detection water. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game right here, guys, and you know what time is it. Shh. Shut up! But I tell you one thing, if I ever go to my kitchen and I turn my water off and I walk away and it turns back on, bro, you got half on this water bill?
That was pretty creepy. You seen a reflection in the laundry room. I was like, whoa. Shout out to True Story 718.
I may have finally acquired the first leaked photo of the North Pole, Rupus Nigra, the Mount Meru at the center of the Earth. And I've been looking for this forever. I've been trying to figure out where I can find anything about this place. But I haven't until the guy that I spoke to on Telegram about a year ago, who told me he has been beyond the ice wall, just messaged me back after a whole year and told me that he has a leaked photo of this place that he wants to show me, and I'm going to show it to you right now. Alright, now here it is. Let me know what you guys think. But if you know, this mountain is actually supposed to be black, and this looks pretty black to me. And it isn't actually a mountain, it's a giant tree stump that got cut down. See, the scientists would call it a plateau, but it's actually a giant tree stump. You can tell by the shape of it and how flat the top of it is. That is not something that happens naturally. Now this Mount Meru at the center of the Earth, it was in all the mythologies all across the Earth, especially in Norse mythology. They had the giant tree. That's what this is supposed to be, and this might actually be the first photo that we've ever seen of it ever. And the reason why it is black is because it is made of pure magnesium. That's why a compass will always point to exactly north, because it's pointing to this spot.
Shout outs to Charlie T. Griffin. I don't know, it could be. I like the fact that he understands that it's not a mountain in a tree that's actually cut off. A stump, like what Piper Miller been talking about.
There is not a single they here. Certainly multiple factions of the same species, if not multiple species. What I have learned is that we live in a dream, a carefully constructed reality. We make use of a science that is tightly controlled and suppressed and distorted. I think we are left behind.
Humans.
I think normies, the normal humans, the people have been left behind. Us. Mm-hmm. People need to understand that we might have freedom of speech, but that has been subverted. We do not have freedom of inquiry. We are blocked from learning what we need to know. Just in the public world, we are blocked from advancing in science. We are taught false science intentionally to prevent us from learning more. We live in the Matrix. It's just much more boring than the movie.
You heard the reptilians work at malls conspiracy? Watch this.
We'll work in an office building, or like an office mall. A lot of times it's cold and dark in the corridors of the office mall, but the
perfect place for a reptilian
sectors, they're glass and they're well lit. If you think about it, like walking through these spaces, it'll look like an amphibian, like when you go through the reptile section of the zoo, how they have them in their own sections with their glass fronts. There's lighting there, but in the part that you may be walking through, it's dark, kind of like an aquarium type of feel. These office malls feel very much like an aquarium.
This is the first time I've heard this theory, but it's definitely a fascinating one. And it kind of makes sense. Cold environment, darker areas of the store. Come to think of it, if I was a reptilian, I would love to work at a mall. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. Stay weird.
It's my first time hearing about this theory as well. Shout outs to It's Weird Time. I agree, the way that lady was describing it. When you're looking at the mall, it kind of reminds you of an aquarium. Very interesting.
I thought this was fake, but they actually did it. They might have found the most famous ancient artifact in all of history. For the longest time, historians dismissed it as a myth, a made-up story glamorizing one of humanity's greatest moments. And now, CIA documents from 1988 reveal the Ark of the Covenant is real, and they know exactly where it is. Known as Project Sunstreak, where they sent over 30 agents on very special missions to find the Ark without telling them what they were looking for or even where they were going. Just that they were looking for something very important. In in order to make the operation as unbiased as possible. The three major goals for this project were establish whether a threat exists, if so, what are its dimensions, and can it be exploited. One particular agent on this mission, number 32, described finding almost exactly what they were looking for. He reported seeing a container with another container inside of it, made of wood, gold, and silver, and was shaped like a coffin, decorated with seraphim on top, which are these things. This already very accurately describes the Ark of the Covenant, without even knowing it's what he was looking for. But it doesn't end there. He goes on to confirm that he found this container hidden underground in the Middle East as he heard people speaking in Arabic around him. According to him, the container's purpose is to bring people together, holding information and historical knowledge far beyond anything we know, and that it's protected by powerful entities in this underground Middle Eastern chamber, also seeing domed roofs on the surrounding buildings. Keep that part in mind. The agent explained that this box can only be opened by those authorized to do so, and that it won't be opened until the time is right. Anyone who opens it before then will be destroyed by an unknown power, all in his official CIA report. Everything he described are known characteristics of the Lost Ark, without even knowing what he was looking at. And the reason he didn't know where he was or what he was trying to find was because this was a remote viewing mission the CIA had sent him on. In case you didn't know, the CIA was kinda obsessed with remote viewing in the 70s and 80s, part of their larger Project Stargate program. Put simply, remote viewing is the ability to project your consciousness to other parts of the world, or even outside of our world and at any point in time, to see exactly what would be there if you were to go in person, also known as astral projection. Kinda like when you die in a video game and you're waiting to respawn, you can fly around and see everything as that invisible camera that no one else can see. Now I know when most people hear this, they immediately call it nonsense voodoo psychic magic that has no merit in reality. But it kinda works. The CIA and similar agencies have successfully used it on numerous occasions with incredible results. Like Patricia Mona, who successfully found 30 missing people for the RCMP in Canada through her remote viewing sessions. Joe McGonigal, a decorated intelligence officer, described seeing the construction of a giant Soviet submarine through his sessions. An idea that was mocked and literally laughed at the time until they actually found it, and it matched exactly how Joe described it. Other remote viewers drew accurate sketches of secret Soviet bases, which later turned out to be real, or found the exact locations of hostages during major events like the Red Brigade and the Israeli hostage crisis, which were then rescued. Angela Ford was tasked with finding a fugitive on the run through remote viewing and found the name of the exact city he was hiding in Wyoming. He was there and they caught him. Former President Jimmy Carter himself admits they got the exact coordinates of a crashed plane in Africa from a remote viewer, and lo and behold, it was there. Not to mention the CIA invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Project Stargate before they shut this program down in 1995. Sure, you can argue that even a broken clock is right twice a day, and if you remote view enough times, yes, eventually you'll get something right. But these were all incredibly detailed events, locations, and descriptions, and it would be a stretch to call them all just coincidences. It's not perfect, but it works a lot of the time. These training programs insisted that remote viewing is a skill that anyone can learn if you put in the effort. There are some people who are more naturally gifted than others, and these are who they select for their missions. The way the CIA typically conducted the remote viewing missions is by providing anonymous coordinates to their psychic agents and telling them to project themselves there to see what they find. And as we saw with remote viewer number 32 of Project Sunstreak, he potentially witnessed the most sought-after relic in all of history, the Ark of the Covenant. A biblical artifact whose existence is hotly debated, but we do kinda know exactly what it looks like. A giant chest adorned with gold and acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long by 1.5 cubits wide, that is said to hold the 2 stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, the 10 rules of living as written by God and given to Moses in the Bible, as well as Aaron's rod, Moses' brother and the first high priest, which is said to have its own source of divine power, and a golden pot of manna, the divine white flaky food given to the Israelites in the desert by God in order to keep them fed. The book of Exodus goes into crazy detail about the exact specifications of the Ark, and we can pretty much construct a perfect replica based on all the written measurements and instructions given. The Bible even describes the exact sequence of events of where the Ark was moved throughout the generations. Over hundreds of years, the Ark was carried by the Israelites throughout the land as God directed them where to go. It eventually ended up at the Temple of King Solomon in Jerusalem, the last known location of the Ark before the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians in 587 BC. But remember our remote viewer number 32, when describing the Ark, mentioned seeing buildings with domed roofs in his report? Well, the most famous dome in the Middle East and arguably the world is the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, an Islamic mosque built in the 7th century AD. What's interesting about the Dome of the Rock is that it was built on Temple Mount, one of the holiest sites in the world, and the same original location as King Solomon's temple before it was destroyed, the last known location of the Ark. That's because the Dome of the Rock was built on top of something called the foundation stone, a massive stone block of great significance. significance, as it's believed this is where God's creation of Earth started according to religious tradition, and is also the rock upon which the Ark was expected to be placed on in the OG Temple of King Solomon, as if it couldn't get any more obvious. Beneath this stone are several known tunnels and chambers called the Well of Souls, which people have visited and very clearly exist. But beneath that well is another hidden chamber that's sealed off and is where the Ark of the Covenant is rumored to be held. Access to the Dome of the Rock is very heavily restricted, and you also have to be Muslim to enter, as it is an Islamic mosque, sparking further rumors that they're intentionally hiding it there and not letting anyone claim it for religious dominance. But hey, I'm not touching that one. We're not starting a holy war over here. But it is very interesting to see this remote viewer describe what appears to be the Ark of the Covenant sitting in a dark cave in the Middle East surrounded by domed buildings, without even knowing what it was he was looking for. So either call it a coincidence, or they know exactly where the Ark is, and who knows what sort of powers it holds.
So basically Stranger Things, you know? Remote viewing. Shoutouts to Phil's Pixel. Very interesting.
This is the Metatron's cube. It represents the atom and the universe. The first big circle is the all. Every circle is the all. It is the atom itself. It is. This is physicality. It is Earth. Here it is right here. Now they all fit into this six-pointed cube. Also air. Let's go water next here. Water is the downward triangle right in there. This all actually is light. This is just everything in the universe. It is self. Now we have space, or the ether, is right here in the middle, and also right here. This atom is infinite. It will forever go on. There's a small one right here. You could leave it empty if you want, but I like to put stuff in it because it's fun. This is the entire universe. I won't talk about the angel. I will not talk about Metatron. This is the purpose. It is the way of the universe. If you can understand this, if you can decipher the code of what it is, you will have found yourself as the universe. All the elements are one thing, and that is light. The atom. This also means the same thing. You're on to it.
The Hunger Games for Psychics is real now. There is something called the 2025 Psy Games. It is in Charlottesville, Virginia. It is a competition for kids and adults and teams where you can test your Psy abilities. The categories are dowsing, mind sight, psychokinesis, remote viewing, my favorite. Actually, that's my favorite. And precognition. You can literally sign up. I'll leave the link right here. And I don't know why I compared it to the Hunger Games, but first place, you get $1,500 cash. And you become a part of history because this is the first one, like, ever. This is actually more like a Candyland for psychics. It's meant to be playful, and it's meant to open the world's mind up to these very real abilities. Materialist, kiss my butt. And there's more. There are keynote speakers and workshops at this conference. Tom Campbell, The Theory of Everything. He wrote a book, I think it was called My Big Toe. Adam Curry, who has an app called Entangled Consciousness and has worked with the Princeton Pear Lab. Who wrote UFO of God. He's one of the biggest interdimensional UFO experiencers. And Diane Hennessy Powell, who most of you know from the telepathy tapes. I'm sure she'll be talking about telepathy. They're even doing workshops on how to remote view. I will be at that one. It is August 1st through 3rd in Charlottesville, Virginia. You can get tickets on their website and get the hotel separate. I actually have no association with them. I'm just very excited. And hopefully in the future I will be speaking there. Because I'm writing a book on the expanded definition of plasma, which makes this all possible. What the frick does plasma have to do with telepathy and remote viewing? Let me explain. I view plasma as a living ether. Plasma in science is the fourth state of matter. It is an ionized gas. It is composed of positive ions and free electrons. But I believe that plasma is actually more of a behavior, and that solid, liquid, and gases are all made out of plasma at different levels of matter. And I believe that the plasma I'm speaking of, which is not currently provable in science because we don't have the machines to do so. This plasma is the plasma that makes up the realm of thoughts and emotions. Think like as above, so below. If plasma is 99.9% all visible matter, I think it's also 99.9% of all invisible matter. It makes sense. Especially when you learn that plasma has all the qualities needed for remote viewing, for telepathy. It is the perfect field for all this, and I will explain. Plasma is what is called a quasi-neutral medium. Plasma responds to electromagnetism. What has the biggest electromagnetic field in our human body? Our heart. Plasma responds to love and joy and all those awesome frequencies that they talk about in metaphysics and the spiritual world. And what is the key to remote viewing that some of you might know? It is opening your heart. Unlike solid liquids or gas, plasma is both fluid and structured. It is the perfect medium to hold complex information patterns. Its quasi-neutral state makes it ideal for information transfer. It can literally bridge the physical and subtle dimensions. Not only is plasma the perfect medium, but the perfect middle point for spirituality and science where they both meet, but it is the perfect middle point between classical science and quantum physics. Plasma interacts with both quantum particles and classical electromagnetic waves. Plasma is capable of sustaining what is called quantum coherence over large distances compared to the other states of matter. And in a quantum system, particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously, which is known as superposition. I'm pretty sure that's why wormholes really can exist, because in a plasma, that would make total sense. Look up pinch plasmoids, or pinch plasmas, sorry. Plasma literally translates quantum data into macroscopic patterns. In the quantum realm, we have individual electrons and ions that interact in quantized probabilistic states. And then in the classical realm, these interactions aggregate to form large-scale electromagnetic fields, which plasma can carry and transmit across large distances. I'm getting back into telepathy. For instance, in remote viewing or precognition, specifically, I'm leaving that in, specifically remote viewing where you're seeing impressions from a distant object, plasma can store future potentials and past events. They are all vibrational imprints. And when you learn to resonate with them using your heart, your electromagnetic field, you can resonate with future and past items, allowing the observer who is remote viewing to navigate this quantum data that is stored in plasma, which bridges the past, present, and future. It makes sense, does it not? Telepathy is pretty similar. It is about resonance. If you're on the same kind of frequency, think of radios tuning to receive a certain signal. Two people can telepathically communicate quite easily by resonating together and exchanging those images, those thought forms in this four-dimensional plasma state, this living ether state. And in my book, which the link is in my bio if this is interesting you, I talk about, which is coming out in the summer, I talk about why plasma, specifically the expanded definition, it is a living ether and the field has its own intelligence. Plasma is not conscious. It is the vehicle for consciousness. It holds consciousness in certain situations. And this is why their future potentials. This is why people make mistakes and none of these things are 100% accurate. It's not because they're fake, because they're quite real. Anyone who has had any type of strange, odd experience can admit that it's real. When you experience it, you know how real it is. And then you feel like a moron for laughing at people and making fun of them for this. The reason it's not accurate is because plasma's intelligent field reflects your state of consciousness, your state of resonance. So your symbols that are lined up with your emotions, which I go into in my book way more clearly, might be different than someone else's. Your emotional filters, your traumas, your past limiting beliefs, that might influence what you're seeing. And it all has to do because everything is encoded in these plasmas. Every conscious thought form, every story that is consciousness, every message is almost like in a little dense plasma bubble. And unless we know how to open to them without our own emotional biases, whether it's subconscious or conscious, and this is more nuanced, but basically we can't read those messages exactly. But in a perfect world in the future, learning about all this more and mixing it with our healing and our emotions, all of this stuff will be possible and accurate. And one way this is being proved by Diane Hennessy Powell is in the telepathy tapes, where people with savant syndrome and autism have these abilities, and they're 100% accurate when they're doing the test. I think they're doing a documentary which will be out about this eventually, but they have a podcast. So plasma is a modern day reinterpretation of ether, especially the way I'm explaining it. The reason I do not call it ether is because, number one, in science they disproved ether, but they actually didn't. The test they did to prove or disprove it, the Michelson-Morley test, was completely messed up. I also get into that in my book. I also just like the name plasma because it literally means to mold, or the molded, I think, which is perfect. It is a moldable substance, a moldable intelligent substance by conscious awareness. But there are many beautiful hints that have to do with ether and the word quintessence. And quintessence, Aristotle called quintessence ether. He connected the two. Quintessence, this fifth essence or ether, was a substance thought to permeate all of space and act as the carrier of light and consciousness. I'm sorry, that's literally plasma. Like, why have we not connected that? People are starting to now. This aligns with the idea that plasma is not only a physical substance in science, in the study of science, but it is also a living memory field, much like the Akashic realm, that holds the imprints of thoughts, of emotions, and intentions. When someone has a strong emotion or intention, it can imprint a pattern in the plasma field way deeper. This creates the resonant structure that can be accessed remotely, like in remote viewing or telepathy. Heightened emotional states do make a difference, but it's not just about that. It also has a lot to do with neutrality, not attaching, learning how to receive without grasping for an answer. It's easy and it's not easy at all. Like, for instance, when I open my mind and I act like a kid, I can be telepathic. I can do it all. I feel like a literal magician, and I'll do it once or twice, and then I'll psych myself out because it just feels weird. And that's what I think we have to learn is sorry, it shut off or something. Our nervous systems have to learn how to hold this whimsical, weird stuff. I always did it as a kid too. And every time also when I would like start to be psychic or like win a game against my parents, or even now, I psych myself out. I'm telling you, the emotional mastery is where it's at. And not mastery is in suppressing, mastery is in feeling and having the nervous system to be able to feel it all, because it's very expansive. Anyway, speaking of kids, going back to the conference, kids get in for free if they're between 6 and 14. Super cool. Here's the information again. I will see you there. Ah!
The Hunger Games for Psychics. Yo, shout outs to Dana Kipple. This was a good one. PSI games, talking about plasma, its emotional imprints in the conscious field, like the Akashic records. It's fascinating. I feel like the PSI games is looking for mutants, like in the X-Men. Like, I feel like these people here running it are our modern day Professor X's, you know? I'm excited about it. You'll go there and see some kids bending a spoon, airbenders, especially since we know they've been telling us this stuff in the movies. You think it's just the Simpsons?
We are the X-Men. Plasma holds a lot of our power. Did you know we can do this?
Same thing happens to everything else.
Now with Jubilee, that Jubilee uses plasmoids from her fingertips. Plasma. She calls it fireworks. She uses magnetics, static electricity, and plasma for her power. Plasmoids is a coherent structure of plasma and magnetic fields. We have that in our body. That creates ball lightning, magnetic bubbles, magnetospheres, all of that.
Your rematch?
I don't have any recorders.
I got it.
That is static electricity, plasma. Look, you can create plasmoids through a microwave medium that initiates it with what? Naked flames of a match. And we saw that phosphorus, they use it to strike on the surface of matchboxes. They use plasmoids. Look, you can create plasmoids from a flame or a match. All this power within us. Plasma is the liquid component of blood. It's in your blood. It comprises about 55% of its volume. It holds everything. Lightning is a natural plasma spectacle, a form of plasma where electricity travels through the air, ionizing sodium, and it creates a highly conductive path. When lightning strikes, the extreme energy of the electrical discharge causes a path of plasma. Lightning. Now we know this. The sun is a massive sphere of hot ionized gas called plasma. The sun is plasma with hydrogen in our body. We are the sun. We have all of this. Wake up, guys. Get your powers back.
We Are the X-Men, Part 3. Shoutouts to Osiris369. Building upon what Dana Kipper was talking about with plasma. How it's in lightning, how it's in the blood. Made me think of the plasma spots people go donate to. Makes me wonder if they're taking this plasma. That's another story. At the end of the day, I find this all amazing.
That shouldn't be here. That's why nobody knows about this place. This is Vilcabamba, the last stronghold of the Inca Empire. If you did learn about it, you probably didn't see that crazy stone. You probably saw this, which is a beautiful mountaintop fort. But what they don't highlight is this, the old stonework and the new stonework. I don't know why it's not addressed more. Machu Picchu. The old work is always better than the new work. Pre-Inca were so good, they could turn rock into silly putty and then put block rock silly putty in between the gaps and then put megaliths on top of it and form them all together. The oldest ones are massive and they show the silly putty signs, the same ones that you can find in Egypt. As their style evolves, they get more precise, just like we see in Egypt again. Then, just to mess with you, they put both techniques in these random rocks that you can find all over the landscape, just like in Japan. That is a 9,000-mile coincidence across the largest ocean on Earth. Luckily, the Spanish put a church over their last remnants of it after they realized that they couldn't burn stones like they did books or people. And now we can gaze upon them forever. After they killed Tupac, Vilcabamba was lost to history, then rediscovered in 1911. That's probably why you haven't heard of it. But thanks to the internet, sites like this are popping up every day. It's a great time to remember your roots.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was confused too, but the meaning of Tupac is actually the name of an Inca warrior back in the day. See? That's crazy. Tupac Amaru Shakur. Nah, they ain't talking about 96. They're talking about thousands of years ago. I had to think about it.
Kingdom of God is within. Therefore, the King God is within you. You are the temple of the living God. God lives within you. The whole Bible is allegory for your ascension journey up the spine. So the word Christ or Christos in ancient Greek means anointed or smeared with oil. 1 John 2:27 says, "As for you, the anointing which you received from him abides in you, and you have no need for anyone to teach you, but as his anointing teaches you about all things." Because when you raise this Christos oil back up to the pineal gland, you become enlightened. It becomes your teacher. So Numbers 14:8 says, "If the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which flows with milk and honey." The pituitary gland secretes a milky-like substance called oxytocin, and the pineal gland secretes a honey-like substance called melatonin. This is the Christos oil, the anointing, the sacred secretion. When it reaches the solar plexus, or the Son of Man, S-U-N, dwelling amongst the 7 golden candlesticks, those are your 7 chakras, then there's a seed produced. That seed travels down with the oil to the sacral chakra or the tomb, and on the 3rd day it resurrects. This is the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ within you. It ascends the 33 vertebrae representing the 33 years of Jesus' life, and as it crosses the vagus nerve, this is your cross. Jesus says to pick up your own cross. Picking up your own cross means lifting the Christ consciousness, the Christ oil, the serpent on a pole, the Kundalini energy. Just as Moses lifted the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. This is the Son of Man, the Christ oil, the consciousness within you. When it reaches the pineal gland, you will see God face to face, and that is allegory for having an encounter with the divine. Jacob named the place Pineal because he said, "I saw God face to face and my life was preserved." The sacred secretion is known as the fountain of youth. It promotes longevity of life. Turning water into wine is cerebral spinal fluid into detoxified blood. It regenerates cells and activates junk DNA. So out of your belly will flow rivers of living water. This is that living water. John 4:13-14, Jesus answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Because wells in the Bible are symbolic of the chakras. So when King David married Bathsheba, Bathsheba means well of seven. He was uniting the milk and the honey, the feminine and the masculine, Ida and Pingala, the magnetic and electric energy, creating the divine marriage within.
Man, they don't show that in Sunday school. This that stuff Jim Carrey be talking about. Shout outs to Truth That Travels. Excellent breakdown.
Go on. Go on. I'm not going to shoot you. Go. Go on. Go on. Hey! 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 You're gonna get me. Hey! Go on! Go on! Go on! Oh, go on! Go on! Run! Go!
All living things emit an eerie glow before they die. And after they die, the glow is gone. It is proven. This has been a theory many years for what they call Kirlian photography, but many called it pseudoscience because there are a lot of variables in these tests. But now, there is something called UPE imaging, which quantifies actual photon emissions related to metabolic processes. I believe it has to do with mitochondria, and it's more scientific and data-driven. Okay, so in the article, they talk about how it plays a key role in non-invasive health testing, but what they don't realize is this is like the coolest news of the century, and I'll tell you why. So just quickly, when they did this test, they realized that humans, as well as mice and plants, emit actual biophotons, and after they die, it goes way down, meaning that all of us really do have light, like an aura. It is undeniable, something that comes from all living things. This was the study. And when plants got injured, they emitted even brighter light when they were healing. So, in this book about plasma by Robert Temple, where he calls plasma the fourth state of matter intelligent, he talks about a book I have called The Way of Souls. It's a book from 1931, and it literally talks about odic/plasma-like souls, souls of luminous fluid, which he catches after animals die, basically catches the light emissions. The guy who wrote this book thinks it's bioplasma, which is known as our aura. Photons are emitted when there's an energy transfer in electrons. If you're seeing this on Instagram, go to YouTube to see the whole video. It's very interesting. So, in a plasma, when it's an ionized gas in science, photons, packets of light, are produced when electrons transition between energy levels. This is how neon signs are made. They're plasma. This is how the aurora borealis has its glow. There's an energy transfer. So, what you need to know about plasma right now is the paradigm of plasma is shifting. Not just in science, but in metaphysics, and biology and astrobiology, where science is being seen not only as a state of matter, but a behavior of all states of matter. Basically, across condensed matter physics, fusion research, quantum biology, and neuroscience, they're all uncovering plasma-like behaviors. Plasma is known as the fourth state of matter, but it might just be an essence behind all states of matter. An underlying field of intelligence and responsiveness that reveals itself when conditions change, like energy transfers. It is the fountain that all elements, all states of matter come from and go back to. It would explain simulation theory, but it would add meaning to it, because plasma is also the vehicle for consciousness and electromagnetic waves. Besides the point. So ionized behavior is not limited to stars. It is showing up in our bones, brains, chips, and even thoughts. Now it is showing up in this study, yet no one calls it a plasma because plasma physics is a small branch of physics. So when there's ionized behaviors in other branches, no one even knows enough about plasma to call it a plasma behavior. So from this test, from these scientists who are validating these things in labs, few things can be implied. One, ultra weak photon emission, which they say in their article is most definitely happening. This is no longer metaphysical, speculative, not scientific. This is a real thing that happens across all living things. In metaphysics, you would just call this an aura, that everyone has an aura. And I am sure that is what they were capturing in Kirlian photography. They just weren't believed in the science community because they had to make their own machine to fucking prove it. Silly, but whatever. So if energy also can't be destroyed or created, this visible light, when we die, that disappears, that might just encapsulate our consciousness, where does it go? It does not die. There is an energy transfer. Just like photons with electrons, I think that electrons are kind of like wormholes. Just like an Einstein-Rosen bridge, I think all electrons are kind of like portals. And photons are the little bits of light in our 3D reality that come out of electrons. And then when there's an energy transfer in electrons, they go in the electron and then into this other realm that we visibly can't test or see right now. It's like fourth dimensional plasma realm, spirit realm of the collective unconscious. The fourth dimension is a real place where past, present, and future are all there together. And electrons are like mini proof of this. And when we die, our soul, our bioplasma, our literal plasmatic spaceship brings our consciousness back through that freaking wormhole into that fourth dimensional space with our consciousness to be born again, to go to other dimensions. I don't know. All I know is that this actually kind of makes sense. And I believe it in my heart, so I'm sharing it. I think it will hit with you too. And science is going more and more in this direction. It really is. So it's almost like when this light that vanishes when we die, it just goes back through this wormhole when the energy transfers, and with that transfer, our consciousness inside this plasma layer that is disappearing goes back to this other realm, which means our consciousness really doesn't die. We might forget this lifetime, but I think that might be changeable as well. Maybe we can't stop physical death, but maybe we can stop conscious death of forgetting lifetimes. So what makes the case that I am saying so strongly that this is actually a bioplasma layer? That these biophotons, what do they exactly have to do with plasma? First things first, what is a photon versus a biophoton? A photon is a fundamental particle of light. It carries energy and it has no mass. It is emitted when an electron moves to a lower energy state, or when matter is heated and energized. Photons can be in the visible light spectrum, infrared, microwaves, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. Sorry, I had the wrong photo up. Here's the visible light spectrum and all the types of lights. And it's based on frequency, wavelength, whatever. A biophoton is a very low intensity photon emitted by living organisms. Typically, it is in the visible near infrared range of the light spectrum. Biophotons are only emitted or thought to be emitted from biological processes such as something called oxidative stress, metabolic reactions, and DNA activity. Are far lower than conventional light sources. That is just what we know about them in sorry, I froze. That's just what we know about them in science. Now, in terms of plasma is the fourth state of matter. It contains ionized gas with free electrons, ions, and neutral particles. Or you can just call them positive ions. Plasma is formed when you apply sufficient energy to a gas. It strips its electrons from the atoms, and it creates a very high energy state. Lightning, stars, neon lights, plasma balls, the ones that you had at the store, those are examples of plasma. That is just the fourth state of matter, what we know in science. Bioplasma is a hypothetical conceptual plasma state within living systems composed of excited states, free electrons, ions, and other charged particles, generated by the same processes that they are saying are generated by biophotons that were most likely theoretical until very recently, when this article probably came out. So, where there are biophotons, there is probably bioplasma. Just like how photons are emitted when electrons change energy states, where there's plasma, there's photon emission, even if it's subtle, like in something they call dark plasma and cold plasma. So we can hypothesize where there's biophotons, there is a plasma reaction and electron reaction going on, a change of energy states, which also is why the plants have more biophotons when they're under stress, because their energy is working harder, which is emitting more biophotons, which is probably caused by this plasmatic state working higher energy. It is an inner aurora borealis event. Isn't this making sense? Understand me. Alas, I'm before my time with plasma, but the proof will be soon enough. And I have a book coming out about all these cool plasma things. The link is in my bio. So now we get to my case. Can an ultra-weak photon emission, a UPE, be also classified as a bioplasma? Yes, and here is why. Because the photons are being emitted by some type of energy transfer, meaning there's electron transitions going on that obviously aren't happening if the person's dead, means there's some type of plasma behavior happening. Just not the way we think about plasma, how it's in space or in our blood, two different kinds. We usually associate it with this hot thing. And this is more of a low temperature, non-thermal plasma emission, which is a behavior but not a normal plasma. Bioplasma in this context would not be a traditional plasma, but it would be a plasma behavior. It would be a colder, more subtle plasma-like state that does not reach full ionization, but it still involves excited states. Electron dynamics capable of photon emission, which is obviously happening. Basically, I'm a bit early to this camp, but there's going to be new classifications in the future of plasma, where their behaviors and their intermediate plasmas, because even cold plasmas can be like a kajillion degrees, like deep inside, it's hard to explain. Electron temperature is high in cold plasmas. The overall temperature remains low. They also have partial ionization. But this is something more subtle, arising from the body instead of an external energy input. It's plasma. I ran out of time.
Yes. That's crazy. That made so much sense. I don't know how, but it did. Shout out to Dana Kipple. Cold plasma. First, let's start with plasma being in neon signs. Once she said that, it was just like...
Number 607, UNC.
This on? Everybody, I'm locked in a firmament and I'm stuck in a simulation.
Name and address, please.
Oh yeah, my name. I'm from the Paranormal. That's like in the heavens. It's like the same as heaven, but it's different. And I came to talk about Trump because I love Trump, and y'all disrespected Trump, and y'all don't know that y'all devils, and y'all come from the devils. Y'all fell from heaven. And y'all don't know that Trump is good. He black, stuck in another body because the world is simulation and everything is reincarnated. Oh, sorry.
A ship has just crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. Here's what you need to know. Videos posted online show a massive Mexican Navy sailing ship with 145-foot masts smash into the underside of New York's Brooklyn Bridge, while people on the ground start running away thinking it could crash into the walkways too. Its masts were sheared off, and to make things worse, there was 277 people on board at the time. And if you look closely, there was a number of sailors actually on the ship's masts at the time of impact, all lined up as a display holding hands. So when it hit, it was pretty devastating. 2 were killed because they had an over 100-foot fall, and 22 more were injured, with 19 of them having to be taken to hospital. Some insane pictures show after impact a bunch of them holding on literally for survival. Now, as you'd imagine, being New York, there was a huge response from emergency services, and the Brooklyn Bridge was closed down both ways for around 40 minutes. Now, you'll be glad to hear that this is believed to be an accident, with initial reports suggesting that the ship had a mechanical error and lost power. It was actually on its way to Iceland as part of a goodwill tour, but now is being forced to dock at a nearby pier, and all passengers have disembarked. Of course, as we know more, I'll keep you guys updated.
By now, y'all know that the Matrix is a real thing. It's just a little more a lot more complicated, and is more complex than what we're told it is. But the reason why everybody is coming into awakening is because the Matrix has been taken down. And I know you may not understand what that is because it's more from a quantum level, but you know that the earth has a grid around it. And when I explain this, because I don't like to go back and explain, so this goes for everything. With this grid, there's a grid around every aspect of us. There's a grid around just about everything, right? There's grids, right? So the earth's grid has been manipulated, and there was a false grid that was put over it. Now, in order to learn or understand what the false grid looked like, you would have to understand photons and something that you might not have heard of. Well, maybe sophons. Sophons is synthetic. Photons is organic. Okay, so when you're looking at everything in the multiverse, you're looking at organic or you're looking at inorganic. And inorganic is more, inorganic is inorganic, but it's all of it is AI in nature. It's artificial stuff that the fallen angels were able to use and manipulate and create, because I tell y'all that they don't have the ability to create without our energy. And that's what they use. They call it loosh. But fear is a major factor. That's why I've been so concerned with humanity's ability to stay high in their energy and frequency. And let me tell you something. This is not only why we're awakening. Okay, the matrix has been taken down, and I explained that it was multiple matrices. It wasn't just one matrix. It's sun, moon, this one, and that one, and Mars, and this. All of these things have been connected. We all are connected. And even the understanding of that, and all that I get understanding, I tell y'all. And so giving you an understanding of it is what I aim to do when I come in here, to give you a better understanding of give you a better picture of the synthetics that have been manipulated and put over synthetic systems in every area and aspect of our lives. So that's what we've been dealing with, a whole lot of false, fake stuff. Fake. Anyway, we don't have that problem anymore. Okay. And in saying that, just to let you know, they are expecting a solar flash at some point. The way we will know about this is because of our resonance and our frequencies, and we will feel it, the intensity of it prior to it getting here. And it's nothing that we need to build shelters for or anything like that. This is a whole nother thing that God is going to do for us. And that's only because of where we are now and our positivity, vibration, frequency level. And we're not allowing the fear to pull us the other way, because they are still, and what we're dealing with is the minions, the remnant of, you know how in a computer, when you turn the computer on or turn the computer off. Let's look at that one. That's what really is going on. When you turn it off and it takes a moment to dissipate, it don't go off exactly. You see that light still on even though you done pull the plug, but it takes a while to kind of get out. That's what's going on with the consciousness of people right now and these demons, because they've been taken out. I'm telling you, honey, they gone. Okay, y'all ain't got to worry about that. But their consciousness, what we didn't understand and everybody didn't understand, and the Christian folks, y'all know I was born and raised in the church. Lord have mercy. Been preaching all my life. I'm telling you, and saving and delivering and praying for people. All of this stuff is quantum stuff, you all. God is so into and all about the science world and the quantum world and religious teachings and all of that stuff. It's all involved in this, but it's been convoluted because they created a lot of it, but they had to tell us the truth while misleading at the same time. This is the system. God is not going to allow some things to go down. And so anyway, there was no way that they could actually pierce our souls, because that's where God lies. And we're going to talk about all of that. I think I put up something yesterday where I just said God is in us, and I had essence, consciousness, frequency, and energy there. And that was just kind of give you an idea of that. But anyway, I know I come on here and I talk a long time, and y'all, I hope y'all have patience for this, because this is a long ride that we're getting ready to go on. The main thing that I need you to know right now is that the government is going to do all kinds of things. And remember, the Pentagon controls the movie industry. So no matter where they can operate, they're going to operate to get us to be delusional, mad, and upset, and they trying to get us to fight. We're not going to do that. We are not going to go down that Civil War road, but they're going to do everything they possibly can. And the fear factor, people are coming on telling you to be scared of stuff and get yourself ready. Only thing you're going to get yourself ready is to receive the power of God that's in you, because it's rising up. I'm telling you. And when you start doing things that you couldn't believe that you could ever even believe you could do, you know, things are getting ready to happen to us, and our bodies are being cleansed. The rivers of living waters are running through you and through this earth. We are all connected. Okay. And it's inside of you. Oh my God, I didn't come to preach. You know, I have some people I need to go bless. Everybody's struggling. Please understand that you have the ability to create your own reality just through the manifestation process. Faith is the substance. That is something of things, whatever it is you want. Let me tell you, seek first the kingdom and all these things shall be added. That's the one that you need to get, because this is about your frequency. This is about your frequency. And when God say the kingdom of heaven is on the inside of you, that's exactly where you have to go to get there. Okay? All right. Take some deep breaths. Take some deep breaths. Remember, when he breathed the breath of life into you, that is when you became a living soul. Okay? All right. I love you all. I just wanted to kind of touch bases because I don't come on here like I have to bring myself to the point of wanting to be seen, because when you, that's something that it's certain things about me. It's not about that for me. So I just know that I have to come out and be seen to be heard. So I can't do nothing about that. I just have to get on here and obey God. So that's what I'm doing, because I see a lot of people are being misled, and they're not really misled. Everybody is awakening. So some people are dealing with distortions and stuff like that in their brains. And so it's not all together yet. It's coming together. I know we're all going to be okay, but I don't want nobody to worry about nothing. There is nothing to worry about. All of your needs are met, and you shall not want for nothing. Okay? I know that you may be having a hard time. You may be struggling, but I promise you, turn your mind to the God on the inside of you and see yourself where you want to be. Accept yourself for who you are and see yourself where you want to be, and as the person that you desire to be. Manifest your desires for yourself. You can do this. This is not a hard thing. I've been doing it all my life. I know there are people that have come after me, and I know God has protected me. Some things I don't say publicly because there have been enemy out there that don't want to see you succeed, but it's not even them. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but of principalities. You know the word. Anybody following me, you go and get it. It's Google out there. I didn't come to this earth to babysit. It's too much work to do. But I'm going to tell y'all, I have never worked a 9-to-5 in my life. God has blessed me to understand spiritual principles. And if you apply these spiritual principles to your life will not be as difficult. Yes, you will experience some difficult things. Don't get me wrong. This is a test. We're on a journey here. This is work we're doing. We have to develop. There's certain things in the earth that we're called to do, and purposes in life that we have, all according to God's plan for our lives. So we're going to experience some things. And I'm telling you that those of you that have experienced the worst of things are the called. There are the chosen. I'm sorry. We all are called, but chosen ones, you chosen ones that have been fractured and beat down, and all kinds of things have been happening to you in your life. There's a reason why you've been marked. Okay? And now it's time. Your freedom is here. Freedom is here. What they told you about the book of Revelation was so convoluted, honey. Y'all missed the boat. Y'all missed the ride, baby. You missed the ride. Okay? It was some major stuff that they had put in place, but can keep in mind that they influenced the book. Okay? So anyway, I'm not going to get upset or anything about anything. I love y'all. I love you. 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 Pray for me and know that there is, the effectual prayers of the righteous, fervent prayers avail. Don't let nobody tell you prayer means something else. Okay. I just know. And not only that, but more than anything, know that God is looking at your intent. Okay? It is about your intent. It ain't about what name you call him. He knows your heart. This is a spiritual thing. It's a personal thing. Okay? I love you. I love you. Be blessed. And sorry I got all emotional and stuff like that. Y'all pray for me. Okay? Just pray for us, sister. Y'all know I need prayer. I love you. Later.
That was one of the deepest, heartfelt videos I've seen in a long time. Shout outs to Queen Teresa King saying how the Matrix is destroyed. A lot of that resonated. Much love. Felt like I was listening to the Oracle. You know, the Oracle from the Matrix. Lady in the kitchen with the kids playing with the spoon. Yeah, she was giving me those vibes. She started talking them protons. Like, yeah, the soltons. Synthetic protons, like, yo, okay, let's go. Putting that dead hidden up in there, you know, it's toroidal. The electromagnetic fields we have around us and everything, right? Imagine a synthetic version of that. Boom. Go think about it. Google it.
Where am I here? All right. The human race is a hybrid. We have been seeded here. The evidence is overwhelming, and I refer you to Sitchin's work. And in my book, which is coming out this summer, I have about a 10-page bibliography of other works that you can research and find out what I'm talking to you about. Apparently, this seems to be what has happened. Several 100,000 years ago, an intelligent race from somewhere else out there came by the planet, knew of the planet, stopped at the planet, and found a developing form of life here. Now, there are theories that the original seeding itself was done by an intelligent race from other places. But some of the theories have stated that this advanced intelligence was on an excursion, a trip, and they stopped off here and found a developing form of life and decided to manipulate that developing form of life into a higher form. And they've been involved in that off and on, but continually, for at least 100,000 years. When I studied anthropology some years ago, I always wondered why poor old Neanderthal suddenly disappeared in terms of time, a few centuries. And this new form, completely new form, which we call Cro-Magnon, appeared. What happened to poor old Neanderthal? Who is Cro-Magnon? Well, look around the room. You'll see Cro-Magnon here right today. But in terms of geology, in terms of anthropology, in terms of evolutionary theory, none of that seemed to make a lot of sense. You don't have evolution working that fast. Then there were other little curious things taking place. Why? About 5,000 BC in Sumer, did all kinds of things happen at once. A literal eruption of civilization taking place in the Euphrates and Tigris and Euphrates valleys. I mean, civilization blossomed and bloomed almost overnight. The people were taught, or they learned, agriculture, irrigation. They built cities. They knew how to plant farms. They knew how to harvest. They knew how to develop intricate governmental systems. They developed a military idea. They developed a very intricate theological and philosophical philosophy. And where did this all happen? Why did it all happen literally overnight? Well, Zecharia Sitchin, in his absolutely monumental work, clearly has the answer. In the great Sumerian tablets, in the cuneiform tablets, which preserve the complete history of the Sumerian people, the evidence is all there. Sitchin is probably one of about 10 people on the planet who can sit down and read cuneiform tablets like you and I read the morning paper. And he's a man of great respectability. He's a scholar, he's a scientist. No one wants to argue with Zechariah. They'll take Von Daniken on and they'll argue with Eric and call him names and say, look, you screwed up here, you made a mistake there. But no one that I am aware of has ever challenged Zechariah Sitchin, because he has the tablets, he has the information, and he says, look, it's all there. The Sumerians told us how it happened, how it came to be, where they got the knowledge, who taught them the knowledge. And this fits, and I tell you it does, fit perfectly with every other story, myth, legend, history of every people on this entire planet. The human race is a hybrid. We were seeded here, and we have had what I like to call an intimate interrelationship with high technology, advanced intelligence for hundreds of thousands of years. Now, the crucial thing is it is still going on. It hasn't stopped. They are still involved. And the big question has been for many of us is, who the hell are they?
Did you hear about the hole that burst into the Hoover Dam last week outside of Las Vegas, Nevada? They said a guy named Jim Downings was playing golf near a nearby golf course, and he shanked it, and the golf ball hit the dam in just the perfect spot. Scientific experts are saying that it's a 1 in 5 billion odds chance that the golf ball would hit that exact spot at the dam, but it broke off a pressure release valve, and now water is gushing out. Everyone's safe. It's not going to flood too much of everywhere, but they're trying to figure out now how to plug the hole. So they did call in a Dr. Remy Deemy, who is an expert on these types of things, and he's got a quirk about the size of the hole, but they've got to figure out how to put it in there with all the pressurage that's shooting out. So they think they're going to get a helicopter with a string and the cork on it, and they're going to try to swing it into the hole. I'll keep you updated, but we hope that they can get this leakage to stop.
Let me tell y'all a true story based up on watch this video to the end. Ice cream truck in the mountains. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Let's go. Do you hear it? I hear it. Shh. Why is the ice cream truck in the mountains? It's getting closer. Get up out of there, bro. It's not a case. It's the fucking ice cream man. Are you kidding me? What is the ice cream man doing in the middle of the mountains? That guy was on the trail. Now he said he heard the ice cream truck. And if you listen closely, I heard it too. What is he doing there? Stop playing with me, son. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what the ice cream truck was doing there, but if I would have seen the ice cream truck when I was in the mountains, I would have pulled up to like, let me get vanilla and chocolate swirl. Shut up! It's not a game, guys. Why was he there? You want me to say it? Because I ain't going to say nothing. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game, guys. You know what time is it? Shut up! Now guess what? While you're in the mountains, walking, trailing, you can get ice cream along the way. Because for some reason, ice cream trucks think that there's people in the mountains that want ice cream. Stop playing with me, son. It's not a game, guys. You know what time is it? But I tell you one thing. If I ever see an ice cream truck in the middle of the mountains where I'm hiking, give me a vanilla milkshake.
Especially if it's looking like the Mystery Machine. Shout outs to True Story 718. Yeah, that's pretty creepy for real.
So recently, this device, which is an unidentified flying object, was seen flying around Colombia. So basically in that scene, you see this object flying around, and then out of nowhere, something happens, and then it just falls out of the sky. Now, this is an unidentified flying object. This is a motherfucking UFO. A UFO. It don't seem like it's getting any kind of coverage or anything like that for some kind of reason. Doesn't seem like the military is coming to confiscate it for any reason. Like, we've been waiting for a spaceship to fall out of the sky for God knows how long. This thing just drops out of the sky and everybody's got their hands on it. And then look at that. What does that look like to you? They're like, oh, it's ancient. Hey, we don't know where the material comes from. That looks like a motherfucking computer chip. Look at this image. Looks like somebody hit it with something. Then again, how did these people get access to this UFO? Why do we have access to it? Yeah, that looks like that. Guess what they're calling it? Scientists are calling this core a chip. A radiologist who examined the sphere said they found no wells or joints. So there's no wells or joints on the whole sphere, which usually indicates human production. So we ain't make them up. The scientists concluded it is of artificial origin. It shows no evidence of welding, and its internal structure is composed of high density elements. See, for me, I'm just trying to figure out since when, look at the guy back here, guy in the back, got a camera going, UFO, since when do we get all this coverage for a UFO? We done had plenty of UFOs around here. Why does this ball get all this coverage? You getting pictures, you getting angles, you getting sequences. You're getting X-ray images. This was in Colombia. It landed on the ground and someone was able to pick it up. The orb stays cold, but water evaporates off it when poured on it. It stays cold when heated with 400 degrees Celsius. So what the hell is this goddamn thing? And why aren't they hiding it? Why are we getting full coverage of this quote-unquote UFO? Then again, only we're covering it because I don't think it's been on any major news channels. So where the hell did it come from? And why does it have a computer chip on it? And let me ask you another question. We act like, Bill Gates and the computer system and all that, oh yeah, they rolled out it. Did computers and all that all, come out in the 70s, 80s? Or are computers ancient alien technology? Think about it, y'all. Look at that. Look at how the Egyptian structures, the pyramids, are set on a circuit. Did we miss the fact that computer chips in themselves, which are silicon, have actually been artificial intelligence the whole time? What if they just rolled out baby artificial intelligence? What if they just rolled out the infant version, the tiny little chip version, and told us, hey, if you want to play God, you can put little programs in here, and then this thing will do stuff for you. And then as time went on, they kept expanding on it and expanding on it and expanding on it to the point where we are now, where they're like, oh, you can download a whole consciousness into here. It can have its own intelligence. I think we've been duped the whole time. They didn't just get us with electric cars. They didn't just get us with airplanes and airships and all technology and cell phones. They got us with computers too. But y'all already know, when the mind is blind, the eyes can't see.
He's right. I haven't seen any coverage with mainstream media when it comes to this UFO. First time I heard about it was with Interstellar Discussion. I'm happy Piper Miller picked up on it because he's asking some serious questions. It just took this whole thing to another level.
Oh, so now people are digging up his 2017 birthday bash in Mexico like it's some sort of gotcha moment, as if it proves that the party clips wasn't her being abused. Let's talk about it. Yes, they partied. No, that doesn't erase trauma. Just because Cassie was smiling at a party doesn't mean she wasn't suffering behind closed doors. Abuse survivors don't walk around 24/7 with a black eye and a breakdown. A lot of them become experts at performing normal. She was with one of the most powerful men in entertainment. There were cameras, there were expectations, and there was control. You think she could just act however she wanted and walk away? The trip was Diddy's 48th birthday, and it was literally hosted at Girls Gone Wild Mansion in Mexico. The optics were curated, but that doesn't mean it was safe, healthy, or free.
That wasn't good. That wasn't good. Oh, no, that was the top of my lungs, though. Happy birthday to you. Hey! Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you. Hey! Happy birthday to you. Hey! Happy birthday!
Let me be clear. Abuse doesn't always look like bruises. Sometimes it looks like a vacation photo. Sometimes it looks like forced fun, fake smiles, and survival in designer swimsuits. Cassie is testifying under oath while people are digging up beach clips to silence her. That's not journalism. That's gaslighting. Just because she smiled, it doesn't mean she wasn't surviving.
She's right. Shout out to Flawless Nina. Just because she was smiling doesn't mean she wasn't going through abuse. Sometimes the more they smile, the more scared they are.
Did you hear about the wild rhino clan that they discovered last week just outside of Riverside, California? And the authorities are wondering, how did these get here? How long have they been here, and what should we do with them? And I'm curious what you would do with them. So Greg Nolan was flying in his helicopter across California. He's part of Hollywood's, a famous Hollywood's guy. And he thought he saw rhinos down on the ground. And he thought, no way, those critters are not native to California. And he is right there. I'm an Eagle Scout, and so I know this type of thing. But kudos to him that he knew that. So he flew down super low, and you can see this rhino mother getting super defensive of its children there. And then they ran away. He shared this clippage with the governors in California, and they are saying, how did they get here? I have it on good sources that cartels in Mexico may have pushed the rhinos across the border 15 years ago, and they've been living unbeknownst to the local populancers in Riverside ever since then. So now the authorities are trying to figure out, do they need to tranquilize them and get them to a zoo? Should they push them back across the border of Mexico? They just want to make sure they don't hurt any of the local populancers, or the populancers of California don't hurt the rhinos, vice versa. So I'm curious what you would do with them, how you would solve this problem.
Yeah, they came to California in the 90s after some kids were playing Jumanji. Shout out to Nunchuck's Dragon. I would take them to the zoo. At least they get 3 meals a day. We don't want to see these things running in traffic.
You want to know how deep I've gone down rabbit holes? I'm convinced that both of the world wars were really just to erase the old world. And that there was an entire narrative scripted around who the bad guys were, who the allies are, and it was really meant to just destroy all of these beautiful cities. They took out all of the bells. If you guys haven't looked into why there would be bells in public spaces, and the healing properties and the harmonious properties that these churches and all the architecture was built in. Okay, it's sacred geometry, and it's not unrealistic that they started 2 world wars and put, at the time, our best men in every single country lined up across each other because they wanted to take out the most brave and quote-unquote prestigious men for every country, knowing that all of them would want to go to war.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you enjoyed this video, why don't you check this one right here. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe. Thanks again. Till next time.